What is up, everybody? What is up? What is up? How's everybody doing? How's everybody doing? Today's live stream, I'm going to try and make this one a little bit quicker than normal. I'm going to try and wrap this one up in total in about an hour. Just because I have another live stream that I wanted to get done after this one. What's up, Snailium? What's up, Tayshawn? What's up, Daniel? Loving it. What's up? How's everybody doing? I might rename this stream tomorrow. I might rename the stream tomorrow. I want to name it How Strong is Zoro? It's probably what I'll rename it to. But I already made this thumbnail, and I'm just pretty busy tonight, so I'm thinking I'll just like wait for it tomorrow to do it. Just leave it like this for now, and then I will edit it in the morning tomorrow. Yes, Neely, I'm gonna do another stream after this one. But all right, what's up, everybody? So today we're going to be talking about Zoro. How powerful is Zoro exactly in the most recent chapters of One Piece? And we're going to be talking about if he's like overhyped in power or not. Okay? Because I'm not actually sure what the like most popular idea is for how powerful Zoro is as a character, like amongst the One Piece community. I'm not really sure right now what most fans think. The anime does hype up Zoro's feats more than they're hyped up in the manga. So if you're like an anime-only Zoro fan, it's very possible that you can be led to think he's like a lot stronger than what the manga has portrayed him to be. But I'm just going to be going in detail over his manga feats and talking about like how strong is Zoro most likely to be in the most recent chapters based on the things we've seen, okay? So let's just get right into it. I'll try to get through these scaling points pretty quickly here. Let's just start talking about it, okay? What's up, Romus? How you doing? Oh yeah, and then this will have like spoilers for a lot of stuff all the way up to the most recent chapters of the manga. So that is the spoiler warning for you guys, okay? What's up, Icarus? How's it going? All right, so let's go ahead and get into this, okay? So first off, when we're talking about the difference between Luffy and Zoro, the reality is, based off of feats alone, base form Luffy already has feats that are more impressive than most of what Zoro has displayed, but such as splitting the sky with man-beast form Kaido. A lot of people underestimate how big of a power-up man-beast form actually is. Back when we were in Enies Lobby, we saw that Luffy, when he was fighting Lucci, they were somewhat relative to one another when they were fighting in base form. But then when Luffy went Gear Second and Lucci went Man-Beast form, they were still somewhat relative to one another. So that implies that Man-Beast form is relative to a Gear 2 level like power multiplier, a Gear 2 level amp. So essentially, this is base form Luffy clashing with a Gear 2 version of Kaido and splitting the sky with him while he's in base form, okay? That is actually just insane, especially when you consider that Zoro was really struggling with just one of Kaido's subordinates. But, and yeah, you could even go further into that. Like, I was having this discussion in the Luffy versus Zoro debate, how Luffy in base form he performed a feat that Zoro in Ashura like was just simply too weak to do. Zoro in Ashura, he said he was hoping it would knock him off of his feet and land him onto his back, but it didn't do that. It did scar Kaido, but it didn't knock him onto his back. Meanwhile, Luffy in base form accomplished that. A common counterpoint I saw people say was like, scarring somebody is more impressive than knocking them onto their back. I say that's fair, but then I just ask you this question. Like, if you replace Kaido with Brook here, do you think Brook is going to get knocked onto his back by Ashura? The answer is yes, because Zoro's strong enough to do that. So what this is showing you is Zoro was not strong enough to knock Kaido onto his back with Ashura here. And before this, Zoro stated that Ashura was his strongest technique at the time. He develops King of Hell after this. And there's a bit of a debate as well over which attack's stronger between King of Hell and Ashura. There is a databook scan that says that King of Hell is like the pinnacle of Zoro's swordsmanship, but we'll talk about that a little bit later, okay? So another thing is, I think a lot of people I think a lot of people underestimate how big of a power up Advanced Conqueror's Hockey really was for Luffy, and Luffy specifically because Luffy just has really strong Conqueror's Haki to begin with. He has much more experience with Conqueror's Haki than Zoro does. Luffy learned the base form version of Conqueror's Haki, like where you knock people out. He learned that over the time skip, and mastered it to a point where he was knocking out tens of thousands of fishmen at the very start of pre-time skip, like 500 freaking chapters ago. So it makes sense for like when Luffy developed Advanced Conqueror's Haki, he would be pretty powerful with it. There's also just different levels to Conqueror's Haki in general. That is proven by the Giants Dory and Brogy. When they sense Joy Boy's Conqueror's Haki, when it gets used, what happens in that scene is Joy Boy's Conqueror's Haki is so powerful, it reverts the five elders' devil fruits and turns them back into their human forms. And Dory and Brogy straight up say, like, yo, was that even stronger than Shanks's Conqueror's Haki? Which is a crazy thing to say because it's telling you there's levels to Conqueror's Haki power. It's saying Joy Boy's was stronger than Shanks, and Shanks's Conqueror's Haki might have been the strongest they had ever felt up until that point, which is some pretty interesting scaling for Shanks because in the recent chapters of One Piece, there's mention that Roger might have met Dory and Brogy as well, so it gets pretty crazy when you start thinking about it like that. But putting that aside, there's different levels to Conqueror's Haki, and depending on how stronger Conqueror's Haki is, you get different amps from it. So this is Luffy's amp that he gets from it. At the start of Wano, we see Luffy hitting Kaido with really like his strongest moves at the time. He hits him with Elephant Gatling, follows it up with Gear 4, like the Gatling version of Gear 4 at the time. It was Kong Aura Gun, basically. And he's doing absolutely zero damage to him while he's in Gear 4 at the start of Wano. He just does nothing to him. Kaido gets up and one-shots him while Kaido is in base form. Okay? This is showing you, like, this is start of Wano Luffy. The same dude who beat Katakuri. He's even stronger now from all those Haki Blooms. He's at full health, enraged, hitting Kaido with everything he has, and it does actually zero damage. Okay? And in the anime, they actually go further than this. They have Luffy hit him with King Kong Gun, and it does nothing. It doesn't even scratch him, right? But anyway, like the anime and the manga are a little bit different, so I'm just you don't really need to use the anime feats. I'm just focusing on the manga. We see Luffy hit Kaido with a barrage of attacks. It does nothing. But then the moment he awakens Advanced Conqueror's Haki, he's clashing with Man Beast Form Kaido while Luffy's in base form. Meanwhile, at the start of the arc, Gear 4 Luffy was getting one shot by base form Kaido. It's showing you that Advanced Conqueror's Haki is a bigger power multiplier than Gear 4 was. That's what this scene shows you. Like, this right here, this Gear 4 Luffy back here was not strong enough to clash with Kaido. He's not strong enough to clash with Kaido like this. He was getting one shot by him. It massively overpowered him. But we see base form Luffy is strong enough to do that once he awakens Advanced Conqueror. So it's showing you that, like, Luffy's Advanced Conqueror's Haki is a bigger amp than Gear 4 was. He was also just getting speed blitzed. Like, he couldn't even react to it, really. Okay, so it just makes him overall way more powerful. And then he just starts performing feats like this that are just absolutely insane in his base form, using Gear 2 and Gear 3. He also starts pulling out these plethora of attacks called, like, the rock attacks, and we don't even fully know what those are. Like, when he does Rock Gun here on the right-hand panel, not even fully sure what that is. It might just be Gear 3 with Advanced Conqueror's Haki, or it could be like Gear 2 and Gear 3 at the same time. It's still kind of a mystery as to exactly what that is, but it might just be Conqueror's Haki plus Gear 3, and he changes the name for it. But it makes him so powerful that he's just straight up going toe-to-toe with Man Beast Form Kaido, while Luffy's not even using Gear 4. And that's something that Kaido says himself. He says, like, it's been a long time since someone's been able to truly go toe-to-toe with me. This is after he fights Zoro, by the way, so, like, this implies, like, Zoro wasn't going toe-to-toe with him either. We also see Luffy strong enough to just tank this Ragnarok attack to the head, which is likely, like, this is Man Beast Form Kaido hitting him with lightning hammered Ragnarok. Luffy's also stating that, like, Kaido's Haki is getting stronger in this state, and Luffy still just tanks this attack to the head and just gets back up and kicks Kaido in the face immediately afterwards. Meanwhile, at the start of the series, I mean, sorry, at the start of Wano, he was getting one shot by probably weaker attacks while Luffy was in Gear 4. Okay, so it's showing you that Advanced Conqueror's Haki, like, absolutely transformed Luffy as a fighter. And then we see this scene here on the right, which is just, like, the most insane thing Luffy does in his, like, quote-unquote base form, like Gear 2, Gear 3. This is the craziest thing Luffy does here. This is Kaido doing a Gatling version of his Thunder Bagua, and Luffy counters it with a Gear 3 Gatling version of his own. This rock Gatling attack is just insanely powerful. To clash with like literally just clashing with dozens of Thunder Baguas and like matching it evenly in power, when start of Wano Luffy was just getting one shot by one of these from a base form Kaido. It's showing you that like Luffy has absolutely just reached a huge, like a brand new level of power. Okay, so he's absolutely broken. Okay, so now we'll start talking about Lucci a little bit, because something I've seen people say, I've seen people scale Zoro up to Gear 5 level because he was able to defeat Lucci, and they say like Lucci's Gear 5 level because Luffy fought him in Gear 5. But my counter argument to that is like, just because Luffy's using Gear 5 doesn't mean he needs to use Gear 5. We see this in Elbaf. Luffy uses Gear 5 on a random snake. This is such an overuse of power that his own crew members are like, bro, why are you doing that? So, like, this is showing you, like, just because Luffy's using Gear 5 does not mean that his opponent is a Gear 5 level opponent. I don't really think anyone thinks that this snake here is a Gear 5 level fighter. It's just like Luffy likes using the form. Also, I would go ahead and say, just because Luffy's using Gear 4 just because Luffy's using Gear 5 doesn't even mean he's going all out. He has a plethora of different attacks in Gear 5. Like, here's one way you can scale it. First off, like, there's a difference between just normal attacks and like actual named techniques. That's one way you can talk about difference in power. And another thing you can say is just because he's in Gear 5 doesn't mean he's automatically using Rio and Advanced Conqueror's Haki all at the same time. Like, against this snake right here, I don't know if Luffy's actually using Rio and Advanced Conqueror's Haki and Armament Haki all at once. This might just be Gear 5 and Armament Haki, and that's enough to one-shot the snake, right? So, yeah. I'm just saying all this to tell you, like, just because Luffy's using Gear 5 doesn't mean that he necessarily needs it, right? And I would also go ahead and say, I'd make the argument that narratively, this is probably what Oda's going to use to just say, like, this is how Luffy's getting used to the form. Because I think what's going to happen is eventually, well, what we've seen happen with every other gear that Luffy has is he eventually masters that gear. And the drawbacks of that gear just, like, stop happening, right? Like, with Gear 2, it used to, like, basically kill him every time he used it. It was just destroying him. With Gear 3, he used to go into that like baby mode after he used Gear 3, but after the time skip, he mastered those two gears and doesn't have those drawbacks anymore, can just use those forms freely. And we've seen that happen with Gear 4 now too in Elbaf arc, because up until Elbaf, anytime Luffy used Gear 4, afterwards he would just be like unable to use Haki for 10 minutes. But now we see Luffy using Gear 4 in like the mini Gear 4 mode, and that's like implying gear mastery. So I would argue that Luffy using Gear 5 over and over, this is like Oda's narrative tool for him saying that this is how Luffy's mastering the form, because I think eventually Luffy's going to start using Gear 5 in a mastered form, and he's not going to have the drawbacks that he has from it right now. And I think this is like how Oda is setting that up. But anyways, let's talk about the Luffy versus Lucci fight. I think a lot of people like upscale Zoro based off of the feats in the anime, because like I've seen people say that they think that Lucci pushed Luffy into Gear 5, like that base form Luffy couldn't keep up with Lucci and that he went Gear 5, but like in the manga that's not what happens at all. This is exactly what happens in the manga. You see this panel on the left with Luffy like yelling at Lucci, and then the next thing you see is just Luffy fighting him in Gear 5 already while Lucci's in his awakened form. Luffy, he's on such a superior tier of reaction speed that if you look closely at this panel, at one, like not only is Lucci not landing a single attack on him, but there's a point where Luffy just falls asleep mid dodging and still is not hit by him. Another thing that should be noted is like the entirety of their fight, Lucci never lands a clean hit on Gear 5. He's just getting kind of ragdolled. But he does have one, I'll show you. This is Lucci's best feat here, is where Lucci clashes with Gear 5 right after this scene right here. After this scene, the next scene is Lucci clashes with Gear 5. Because I wanted to put the whole Luffy versus Lucci fight in here and we can just talk about it, analyze it. This is Lucci's best feat, that he's able to clash with this punch from Gear 5 Luffy. So if you're highballing Lucci, you could say that he's on par with the strength of like this Gear 5 punch. But here's what I would say to that. I would say what I was saying before. Just because Luffy's using Gear 5 doesn't mean he's going all out. You don't know if he's using Advanced Conqueror's Haki here and Rio here, or if this is even a full strength punch. And some of the dialogue later on in this fight implies that this isn't Luffy's full strength anyway. Also, it's pretty obvious that Oda just wanted to recreate this scene from their first fight. That's why it matches like panel by panel. It's the exact same thing. But this is Lucci's best fight, best feat in the entire manga, if I'm being completely honest with you. This is Lucci's best feat. If you highballed it, that would be like full power Luffy. He's clashing with full power Luffy, but I really don't think that's the case based on the dialogue that Lucci says like a few pages later. And we'll talk about that in a second here. Let me think. Was there anything else I wanted to mention? Oh, yeah, here's another thing to talk about. Like, Lucci, right after this, proceeds to get 3-shot by this. By this version of Luffy. Luffy hits him 3 times, and then Lucci passes out. So if you really think that, like, Luffy and Gear 5 and Lucci are equal in power, then that would mean like Lucci's kind of a glass cannon. It would mean that if he gets hit 3 times by someone equal to him in strength, he just passes out. And I don't really think that's what Oda's trying to say. Especially since zone fruit users are like known for their durability and like really known for their like ability to bounce back. I would just say it's much more likely that Luffy's not going all out here. He's probably not using Advanced Conqueror's Haki, probably not using Rio either. But I will just go ahead and be fair and say it is kind of on Oda for not like clearly depicting when Luffy's using Rio and when Luffy's using Advanced Conquerors. So that is more like Oda's fault, to be completely honest. Now here's the rest of their fight. This is just Lucci just kind of getting slammed the entire fight here. Oh, and you can make an argument that this like isn't a named punch from Luffy either. It's just a normal one. But anyways, here's the first attack Luffy hits him with. It's clocking him. Then this kick on the left is the second one he hits Lucci with. And then this third one is what knocks Lucci unconscious. Okay, now what Lucci says as he's going unconscious heavily implies that the first punch that he clashed with Luffy with wasn't Luffy's full power. Lucci says, where is he getting so much force? Like, Lucci's shocked that Luffy is this strong now in their fight. That heavily implies that this initial punch that he clashed with was not Luffy's full strength, and Luffy's just kind of clowning around throughout the battle. Even this attack that Luffy's hitting him with that like KOs him, this still might not be Luffy's full strength. This could just be Armament Haki and Rio, but Luffy's just trying a little more. You could just say that too. But once again, it is more like just straight up it's Oda's fault for not making it clear when Luffy's using Advanced Conqueror's Haki. So there's that. But this is just showing you Luffy low diffs him. There was really never a struggle in their battle at all, and Lucci does actually 0 damage to him in this fight. I would make the argument that Luffy did not even need Gear 5 to beat him. He could have beaten him in the lower gears. Because Lucci doesn't really have any feats that would even put him like Gear 4 Luffy level, quite frankly. Like when you look back at the things Luffy was doing in Wano, right? Like let's say you replace this version of Luffy with Lucci. What does Lucci have that could counter this Thunderbogwa Gatling? Does anyone in the chat want to like list anything that you think Lucci would have in his arsenal to just counter this attack from Kaido? Because I don't think that Lucci actually has anything that would be able to counter this. I think he's just kind of getting slammed by it. Meanwhile, Luffy can just counter it in Rock Gatling, like if he's truly going all out. Okay, so I actually lean towards thinking that just Gear 2 and Gear 3 Luffy would like give Lucci a really hard fight, honestly. maybe he'd need Gear 4, but that's me being kind of generous. Based off of feats, like, straight up, Gear 3 Luffy has better feats than him. Taishani said Lucci would block it with his face. Fair. Okay. Because I just don't really know how Lucci's going to counter this. I mean, even honestly, even just like this Thunder Bagua that one-shot Luffy at the start of Wano, I think even a Thunder Bagua like that is kind of... I think Lucci could survive a Thunder Bagua, but like, it's just hard to tell, like, what would he do against like an onslaught like this? If you just replace Lucci with... If you replace Luffy right here, the one who's like going toe-to-toe with Kaido, do you really think Kaido would fight Lucci and be like, man, I wonder how long it's been since someone could go truly toe-to-toe with me? Do you really think Man Beast Form Kaido would say that to Lucci? I personally don't. I think if you replace this Luffy with Lucci and you have Lucci fighting Kaido here, I don't think Kaido's gonna like be giving Lucci the same praise. I personally don't. But that's a debatable thing. Now, okay, yeah, and then this is Zoro's fight with Lucci. Okay, this is Zoro's fight with Lucci. They're clashing in the very beginning. This is two sword style Zoro versus base form Lucci. Then Zoro goes into King of Hell form, and Lucci goes into his awakened form. So I've seen people say that they think that Zoro was like low diffing Lucci, but that's not what the manga depicts. Like in their fight here, if you look at the left-hand panel, they're battling each other back and forth, and they're both breathing heavily. You see Zoro's breathing heavily, you see Lucci's breathing heavily, and Luffy actually asks him if he wants help with the fight. Like if you look at the top of the left-hand panel, he's like, oh, are you fighting, Zoro? Do you want any help? And Zoro's like, nah, just focus on Kizaru, man. And then you see Zoro clashing with Lucci. They're just kind of like stalemating each other right here, bro. They're just clashing back and forth. Okay? And they're both talking trash to each other. Because it's like, I've seen people say that they think Zoro was like low diffing him. I don't think it was a low diff, man. I do think Zoro's stronger than Lucci, but it's not like low diff level. Like, he's using King of Hell against him, and Lucci's like holding his own. Okay? Then this fight also, it lasts way longer than Luffy's fight did against Lucci. Luffy like 3-shot this man, as we showed you here, and Lucci never lands like a solid hit on Luffy at all the whole fight. Luffy just 3-shots him, and Luffy's probably not going all out, just clowning around. And we've seen Luffy has far stronger attacks than this, so he's not using his like strongest moves in Gear 5 anyway. And we don't even know if he's using Advanced Conqueror's Haki either. He really could just be like taking it easy on Lucci the whole fight and still just slamming him to the point where Lucci doesn't even understand how he's this strong. But when Zoro fights him, this is a really drawn out battle. It lasts about 20 chapters. Lucci survives an entire King of Hell duration, because you see at the start of the fight, Zoro's in King of Hell, and then about like 15 chapters later, Zoro's fighting with 2 swords. That means like Lucci survived King of Hell until it like ran out, basically. He survived King of Hell until it ran out. Zoro's down to 2 swords. Lucci knocks one of the swords out of Zoro's hands, and then like Zoro gets angry because Sanji makes fun of him. He goes back to 3-sword style and then slashes through Lucci, and this is the end of the fight. Zoro wins the fight here objectively. Like, there's no way Lucci would be able to beat this version of Zoro after taking a wound like that. But it should be noted, like, this fight went on like legitimately 10 times longer than Luffy's. Like, Luffy's fight against Lucci was 2 chapters. Zoro's fight against Lucci was like more than 20, I think. And Zoro didn't even knock Lucci out. He was still conscious after this, okay? And then meanwhile, while all that's happening, Luffy's out here just like putting in some crazy work on the battlefield. He's 1v1ing an admiral, doing some crazy damage to him. He's fighting an admiral and a 5 elder at the same time, slamming them, turning them into flapjacks and just throwing them. Like, Luffy has some really insane feats this arc, while Zoro's just like stalemating against someone that Luffy 3-shot. So, yeah, I quite frankly don't really see how people like put Zoro on Gear 5's level. I'm not exactly sure. And then this is just some earlier stuff. This was when Zoro was saying that Ashura was the limit of his ability, and it didn't knock Kaido down, but that's not that important. This actually gives us here more scaling for King of Hell, how strong it actually is. Back in Wano, when he uses King of Hell in the manga, King still like hangs with him, bro. King is still just scrapping with him, right? Like he goes King of Hell, slashes King, King tanks it, and is just standing there like nothing really happened. Then they keep battling from here, and King, hold on a second, what happened? Yeah, he's using King of Hell. Zoro states that he has a time limit using the form back in Wano, that like the swords will kill him if he uses the form too long. We don't know if this still exists now in the recent chapters, because like he used King of Hell and then like turned it off. So maybe he's like gained more mastery of it to the point where it won't kill him anymore. He can just like turn it off when it's draining him too much. And then we see King take another King of Hell attack. Then they're clashing. He's clashing with King of Hell in the right-hand panel. And then we see here on the left-hand panel, they're still clashing with each other. And then we see Zoro wins the fight with this Dragon Damnation attack. But yeah, and another thing I pointed out about this is this was like a fire attack, and Zoro learned how to chop through fire. So we don't really know if Zoro, like word for word, like straight up just overpowered this technique. He might have just chopped through it the same way Kinemon chops through Boro breath. And like without King of Hell, Zoro is like, he wasn't on King's level really. Like without King of Hell, he was getting like slammed. He was getting sent flying. So, I mean, it seems like Zoro's best feats come from his King of Hell form. And we don't really know how long he can use that. When he's not in King of Hell, he was like losing to King. So, oh yeah, and then here's the panel talking about like King of Hell being his strongest technique. But maybe you could just make an argument that the final move he used in King of Hell was his strongest technique. Okay, now here's the thing I wanted to talk about. Like I would just say this, based on feats, Zoro's relative to Gear 2 and Gear 3 Luffy. That's based off of feats. And that's me, like, honestly, maybe being kind of nice, dude, because, like, the stuff that Luffy was doing in Gear 2 and Gear 3 against Kaido is absolutely insane. Like, this level of stuff, I'm saying based on feats, Zoro's relative to this. That's why I'm saying I'm being pretty nice, because he was, like, struggling with King, but I'm just saying based on, like, this is me being nice here. I'm saying based on feats, he'd be relative to Gear 2 and Gear 3. Based on narrative, I think in the current chapters, Zoro is, like, relative to Gear 4, but he would lose to Gear 4. Okay? That's kind of what I'm saying here. And I really don't think that's that bad of a thing, because, like, throughout the entirety of the story, pre-time skip, that's, like, how it was anyway. Like, when Luffy fought Lucci, right, back in Enies Lobby, Lucci was on a completely different tier than, like, Kaku and Jabra were. He was just like a completely different level. His power level was like twice theirs in his base form, and then his devil fruit stacked on top of it, making him even crazier. He was just like this prodigy super monster. And there's lines of dialogue during the fight where Lucci was like, he could still kill Luffy's whole crew by himself. Like, Luffy says that in their fight back in Enies Lobby. He's like, yeah, I'm not letting you leave. I need to beat you or you'll kill my whole crew. And Lucci's also saying that on the right-hand panel here, too. Like, this is after they had a drawn-out battle. Lucci's tired, and he's like, well, I'm going to go kill the rest of your crew now anyway, which is showing, like, how strong Lucci was. He was insane. And this is Lucci saying this knowing that, like, Zoro and Sanji beat Kaku and Jabra. Like, stuff like this implies, like, Lucci might have been able to solo the rest of CP9 as well. Like, he might have been that much stronger than them. But, yeah. I mean, back in pre-time skip, it was like normal to just say, okay, Zoro is Gear 2, Gear 3 level at best, but a little bit below that. That was the normal thing throughout pre-time skip. Oh, and this is just future sight scaling stuff. I mean, that's just if you're talking about it from a debate perspective. With future sight, if Zoro and Luffy are relative in stats, then Zoro would like not even be able to hit him the whole fight. That's what Luffy versus Katakuri shows us. Unless Zoro just miraculously develops future sight mid-battle, Zoro wouldn't even really be able to hit him. But what I'm saying is, all throughout pre-time skip, it was normal to just say, like, Zoro is Gear 2, Gear 3 level. And after the time skip, Zoro got a lot stronger. And here's like the actual timeline of how like the fandom went. Okay, so during the pre-time skip, it was common to say Zoro was weaker than like Gear 2, Gear 3 Luffy pre-time skip. Then the time skip happened, and before we knew Gear 4 existed, people still thought, okay, Luffy with Gear 2 and Gear 3 is still stronger than Zoro. That was like the general consensus of the community. We didn't know Gear 4 existed, and we still thought Luffy was stronger than Zoro. Then we saw Gear 4, and we're like, all right, yeah, Luffy's clearly stronger than Zoro. But now that we have like advanced Conqueror's Haki, and like I also think people don't really factor in like how much more fighting Luffy has done post time skip than Luffy has. Like if you think about it, during the Whole Cake Island arc, Luffy, that was after Luffy defeated Doflamingo, right? And we saw Sanji get like low diff by Doflamingo. I'm not saying Zoro and Sanji are equal, but I'm just telling you like there's a big gap between Luffy and his crew members. Then we go into Whole Cake Island, and while we were in Whole Cake Island, Luffy fought like nonstop. Whole Cake Island was really a training arc for Luffy, where he went from 3rd Division Commander level to like relative to 1st Division Commanders by the end of it. Like he fought Cracker for 11 hours, and like he got Haki Blooms from that. He got stronger from that. Then he fought Sanji. Then he fought Big Mom's entire army. Then he fought Pero Sparrow. Then he fought Katakuri for 11 hours as well. So it's like, and he got like massive Haki Blooms through like each of these battles. So during that whole time, Zoro was just kind of chilling at Zoe. Okay, so like that was already widening the gap quite a bit. Then Luffy gets advanced Conqueror's Haki and just like reaches this crazy level here. So I say based off of feats, Zoro right now is like Gear 2, Gear 3 level, but I think based off of the narrative of the story, he should be relative to Gear 4. But it's just like he doesn't actually have the feats to be at that level. But I say like based on the narrative, he should be relative to Gear 4 right now in the most recent chapters. But Gear 4 would win. Okay, so that's about what I have there. And if they were to actually fight each other, like Future Sight really does carry Luffy. Like we see when Luffy was fighting Katakuri, he really couldn't do much of anything until he developed Future Sight of his own. And you can make an argument that Luffy was actually faster than Katakuri in reaction speed and still couldn't hit him, just based off of him being able to dodge fatal attacks from Katakuri while Katakuri saw into the future. But I want to hear what you guys think. Like, this is me saying in the most recent chapters, I think Zoro, based on feats, is still just like relative to Gear 2 and Gear 3, which I don't think is a bad thing because that's how it was the entire pre-time skip. And I would say like Zoro went beyond that during the time skip, but was still weaker than Gear 4. But now, like with Advanced Conqueror's Haki, based on feats, Luffy's Gear 2 and Gear 3 feats are better, but narratively, it's still like, I would say narratively, it's still around the same gap that it was back in Dressrosa. Like Luffy in Gear 4 is just stronger than Zoro was. That's how it was in Dressrosa for sure. Gear 4, Luffy was stronger than Zoro. And I would say it's still that way right now with Advanced Conqueror's Haki based on narrative. So I want to hear what you guys think. So I just wanted to go through that scaling. I probably will change the title of this live stream to How Strong is Zoro? And I'll just have debate put at the end. It's just, I had just made this thumbnail and I just had like a lot of work to do. So that's why I titled it this right now, but I'll probably change it later. But I want to see what you guys think about this. So let's have an open discussion about it. Here's a walkthrough for like how you can join this discussion. Okay, so it's like you go to my channel, you click on posts, and then you click on the comments of this poll I just put here. And yeah, it's the pinned comment. This will take you to the discussion. It's just right here, okay? So I'm gonna hop into the Discord. So if anyone wants to hop in, feel free to. Well, before I hop in there, was there anyone who wanted to ask me a question in the chat here before I go? Let me see. Troll, you said you would debunk this. Debunk what exactly? What did I say that was wrong? You said the Pika Feet and Kong Gun are both island level on Versus Wiki. Well, Versus Wiki gets like a lot of things wrong, and quite frankly, when it comes to scaling like how powerful characters in One Piece are, rather than using things like pixel scaling or like saying this is like this many joules of force, instead of saying that, I just prefer to use like feats in the manga and how they scale to other characters. So, for example, we saw that Sanji got absolutely low diffed by Doflamingo. Zoro was stronger than Sanji at that point, but it's like the fact that Sanji got low diff by Doflamingo, it implies that Doflamingo would have been stronger than Zoro back then too, but Luffy beat him. And when Luffy went Gear 4, he was slamming him around. Another thing you can use to scale it, like this is just a more like more solid way to scale and do debates, is just talk about like how they did against the same characters. Like Luffy beat like there's a scene where Luffy fought Pika and he just like blew Pika's face off while laughing at him and then just like went off, and it's like if Luffy fought Pika, he's just it's nothing, you know. Zoro beat him as well, but like I don't know. It's just like scaling like that is a more solid way to do it rather than saying, oh, this is an island level punch, this is an island level this, because like I could go ahead and say that Luffy's elephant Gatling that he did in Fishman Island was island level. I could say that Luffy's Gear 3 attack was island level because he destroyed the Noah before the Noah fell on Fishman Island and like obliterated it. Because it was stated that the Noah was going to obliterate Fishman Island. Luffy was bleeding out and then went Gear 3 and then just was pummeling the Noah. But like, how does that like change what I was saying earlier though? Like, were you saying you think Zoro would beat Gear 4 Luffy? Because I definitely don't. Like you're saying in Dressrosa, you think Zoro would beat Gear 4 Luffy? Because I do not. Because like we saw that Doflamingo was so strong that he was able to fight Luffy and Law at the same time. But when Luffy went Gear 4, he was slamming Doflamingo. I don't think Zoro was strong enough to fight Luffy and Law at the same time back in Dressrosa. Okay, but I'm going to here. Let me get my other laptop so I can keep seeing your guys' comments when I hop into the Discord. One sec. Where'd I put it? Oh, it's back here. One sec. Troll, you said, I mean, I might give him extreme diff Gear 4 over King of Hell, but Gear 2, Gear 3 not. Well, here's the thing, bro. How does Zoro hit him? Like, here's my question to you genuinely. How does Zoro hit someone who can see the future when Zoro can't see the future? Like we saw in Luffy versus Katakuri, when Katakuri could see the future and Luffy could not hit him that entire duration of the fight. So my question is like, how does Zoro even hit Gear 2, Gear 3 Luffy? I really would like to hear like your guys' answer to that. How does Zoro hit Gear 2, Gear 3 Luffy? When you can honestly make an argument that Luffy's like speed in Gear 2, even without Future Sight, might be above Zoro. I'm not even saying that. I'm saying if you say that they're both equal stats even, how is Zoro hitting a Future Sight user when Zoro can't see the future? How does that how does he beat Gear 2 and Gear 3 exactly? And we saw Luffy's durability in base form is insane. Like he tanked Ragnarok from Man Beast form Kaido and just got back up and kicked him in the head. Like this scene right here. It was this. So like this Ragnarok attack, he cracked him. He cracked him with Ragnarok. Luffy gets back up and then just kicks him in the head like nothing happened. So like I really wanna know, how does Zoro exactly beat Gear 2, Gear 3 Luffy? How exactly does he do that? Troll, you said Katakuri is Yonko Commander 1. I think Zoro is above that debatably, so I think he hits him. How? Like I would like more of an explanation to that. Because wait, you're saying that because Zoro's above first division commander level, he can just hit a future sight user like Luffy? I'm not understanding that. Can you explain that a little bit more, please? Like, how exactly does Luffy, how exactly does Zoro hit future sight using Gear 2, Gear 3 Luffy? Because we saw in Luffy's fight against Katakuri, he could not hit Katakuri the entire time until Luffy saw the future himself. So like Zoro just being above Yonko commander level, even if you say that, that doesn't really change anything because Luffy's above it too. You said probably Luffy gets hit by non-future sight users. I'm saying if Luffy's using future sight, how does Zoro hit him? Because like if Luffy's not using future sight, okay, yeah, I guess someone could hit him, but it's like how is Zoro going to hit him if he's using future sight? So by right, Sanji beats him too. How? What does that mean? I'm not following along. Like future sight ain't everything. I'm not saying that it's everything. I'm just saying like if he's using it, Zoro can't hit him. Do you have like anything to debunk that specifically? Does anyone have anything to debunk that specifically? Because I'm saying like if Luffy's using future sight, how in the world does Zoro actually hit him? Because we saw Luffy versus Katakuri. Like the thing is, bro, you could make an argument that Luffy was faster than Katakuri and still couldn't hit him. That's because in their fight, like the first, do I have that panel? Yeah, it's right here. In the beginning portion of their fight, Katakuri's trying to kill him with the mole spear. Katakuri's looking into the future, trying to stab him with it, and Luffy's still dodging it. That implies Luffy was faster than him. That's the only way that's possible. Despite that, Luffy still couldn't hit him. So how does Zoro hit someone like Luffy who's using future sight? Snailium Zoro isn't fast enough, plain and simple. That's what I think too. Did Lucci have future sight? Because he never showed it. Lucci doesn't hit Luffy the whole fight, man. Lucci does not hit Luffy the entire fight. Like, and I think that's another thing that like gets people confused is they like mix up the manga with the anime. Here's the anime version of their fight, right? So it starts out, there's no fight between base form Luffy and like base form Lucci. It's just like we see Luffy go gear 5, he's clowning around. They clash one time and it's like a replication of their first fight here. Then the rest of the fight, Lucci never lands a hit on him, bro. He doesn't damage him at all. It's just Lucci getting sent flying and destroyed. This is the whole manga fight. What does Luffy block? And like then you can make an argument, was Luffy even using future sight in this fight? Troll, you said you just showed them clashing. So Troll, I think you might have came into the stream late because I spoke about this like during the beginning portion of the fight. I mean the beginning portion of the live stream, but we can talk about this. For one, here's one thing. All right, I think. Sorry for the guys who are in the Discord, because I don't think that this person's able to hop into the Discord, but he wanted to debate a little bit, so I'm just replying to him in the YouTube chat real quick, and then I'll go to the Discord, okay? Sorry for anyone waiting in the Discord. I'll be there soon. All right, so here's the thing. I said this earlier, but I think you missed it because you might have just came in late. Just because Luffy's using Gear 5, it doesn't mean that he needs it. Luffy uses Gear 5 against the Snake and Elbaf, and I don't think anyone here really thinks that Gear 5 is a... I don't think anyone here thinks that this Snake is a Gear 5 level opponent. His teammates are even saying, like, Luffy, this is too much power, why are you doing that? Another thing, just because Luffy's using Gear 5 doesn't even mean he's going all out. It doesn't mean that he's automatically using Advanced Conqueror's Haki and Rio all at the same time. There's multiple different levels to Luffy's power in Gear 5. A third thing, there's a difference between unnamed attacks and then named attacks, okay? Those are another different level of power. And then the fourth thing is that you can just say this is how Oda wants Luffy to master Gear 5. Because if you pay attention throughout the whole series, he masters the gears, right? Like Gear 2, it doesn't have the drawbacks it used to, neither does 3. 4, he just mastered Gear 4 in Elbaf. You can make the argument this is how Oda wants him to master Gear 5 by having him use it all the time, even when he doesn't have to. Now, that being said, this is the Luffy versus Lucci fight. At the very beginning, Lucci cannot even land an attack on him, bro. Okay, and the other thing is we don't even know if Luffy's using Future Sight. He could just be outstatting him massively. He's so much faster than him, he falls asleep mid-attack. Still can't hit him. They do clash once, yes, but all the things I just said are explanations to that. Luffy's most likely not going all out, and the future dialogue just like really does confirm that this is not Luffy's full power anyway. Another thing, this is a clear recreation of the first time they had a clash. If you look, the panels literally match 1-to-1 exactly. Oda just wanted to recreate this scene. That's what that is. And then the rest of the oh, and you could just say Luffy's not using Future Sight. And then finally, clashing doesn't mean like you're taking damage or anyone's hurting you, right? Now, as the fight goes on, Lucci doesn't land a single attack on him. He's just getting slammed the entire time in the manga. In the manga, he just gets 3-shot, bro. He gets 3-shot. He gets hit by this. Then he gets hit by these 3 attacks, and he's unconscious. That's the whole fight in the manga. And then this line of dialogue right here, Lucci says, "Where is he getting so much force?" That's showing you that Luffy was not trying when he clashed with him in the first fight, in the first punch. He's like, why is this so much stronger now? Like, what's going on? Okay. Yeah, you said, wait, what? You said Lucci had Luffy on the back foot. No, dude, I really do think you're getting the anime mixed up with the manga, because Lucci never stood a chance in the manga. Troll, are you able to join the Discord, man? Because we could just debate this more there, but it's like I'm not really following your points here. You said, hold on. You said, or narratively, Lucci is extreme diff for Luffy Gear 4, so he used Gear 5 because he would go extreme diff. Okay, Troll, here's something, man. Look at this. Look at this. Okay, so at the start of Wano, I hope Troll's still in the chat. Okay. Wait, you said show the base versus base panels? Troll, there was no base form fight. In the manga, they didn't fight base form to base form. They didn't fight at all. In the manga, they did not fight at all in base form. But here's something I really want you to look at. At the start of Wano, Kaido with 1 Thunder Bagua just one-shot Luffy, right? In Gear 4. At the start of Wano, this is base form Kaido, he one-shot Gear 4 Luffy, right? Then Luffy gets so much stronger with Advanced Conqueror's Haki that Luffy in base form is clashing with Man Beast form Kaido. Man Beast form Kaido is like the equivalent of going Gear 2, because we see back in Enia's lobby, base form Lucci was relative to base form Luffy. Then Luffy goes Gear 2, Lucci goes Man Beast form, they're still relative. So pretty much imagine this as a Gear 2 version of Kaido clashing with a base form Luffy. Okay? Then Luffy performs all these Insano style feats while he's just using Gear 2nd and Gear 3. Now here's the thing I really want you to look at. This is a Gatling version of Thunder Bagua. This is a Gatling version of Thunder Bagua here. This is dozens of times more than this one attack that one-shot Luffy at the start of Wano. I want you to ask yourself, if you replace Lucci with Luffy here, do you think Lucci can clash with this? Troll, do you think Lucci would be able to clash with this, bro? I really would like to see what you think. Do you think Lucci would be able to handle this? Like, what would Lucci do in this scenario? This is like dozens of times more than the attack that one-shot Gear 4 Luffy at the start of the arc. Do you think that Lucci could just handle this? You said, I'm listening. I'm picking out the inconsistencies in the argument. He's talking about Gear 5 may not have been used. Yeah, Kaido wasn't either. You think Lucci would be able to handle this? With what? what would Lucci do? Or yeah, what would Lucci do here? What would he counter this with? I don't know if Lucci would be able to handle this, man. This might be too much for Lucci. Man beast form Kaido swinging dozens of Thunder Bagwas. He'd lose obviously, but he'd be able to clash. Wait, what does that mean exactly? Like, clash with what? Like, Lucci's just going to punch this? What is Lucci going to do? Like, Lucci's going to just clash with this by punching it? I really want to understand that. How is Lucci clashing with this? How is Lucci like, because this is why these are the arguments I'm using to say like that based on feats, Lucci might be like full strength gear 2 Luffy, gear 3 Luffy level. Because another thing to realize, Troll, is Luffy's even stronger than this now. Luffy's gear 3 now, full strength, is stronger than this one. Because Hockey Blooms, you get stronger after every serious battle. But anyways, I don't know if Lucci has anything in his arsenal that could handle this much power and just be okay with it. I really don't know if he does, man. Um, I really don't. That's why I like look at how insane this is, bro. I really don't know if he can. You said he can't clash with Kaido, but he can clash with stronger Gear 5 next arc. Troll, that's exactly the point. That's why I'm saying just because Luffy's using Gear 5 doesn't mean he's going all out. That's the whole point, man. And like that's why I was going into detail showing you how powerful of an amp Advanced Conqueror's Haki was. Like what I'm saying is Luffy, he probably was like not trying at all with this punch, not using Advanced Conqueror's Haki, not using Rio, might not even be a named punch, just a, like he's just giggling, just having fun. The same way he's like clowning around where he just one-shots this snake, he's not going all out on the snake. He's not going all out against Lucci either, and he still three-shots him. And that's actually backed up by the end of the fight where Lucci says, where is he getting so much force? It's showing you Luffy wasn't trying at first. No, I tell you, Sean, I never want to bully anyone on my channel, man. You said, Troll, that's not proof of downscale for Lucci, it's anything. All right, Troll, I'm not really sure. I'm just gonna go ahead and debate the people in the Discord now. I'm not really following along. You said you can claim he didn't need it. Luffy can clash with him, but he also can't clash with Kaido. I'm not following along, man. You said you can claim he didn't need it. Luffy can clash with him, but he also can't clash with Kaido. I'm sorry. I'm not following along exactly with what that means. What I'm saying is based off of feats, Luffy in Gear 2, Gear 3 has better feats than Lucci, and he has better feats than Zoro in just Gear 2, Gear 3. But I'm saying narratively, you can say that Zoro is relative to Gear 4 but would still lose. That's what I'm saying. I'm not exactly sure what you're saying at the moment. But anyways, I'm gonna open up the Discord. I'm really trying to be polite because I don't understand. All right. I'm just gonna go ahead and open up the Discord now. Sorry for the Discord guys for waiting so long. Let me plug in my other laptop here so that I can charge this up and see your guys' comments while I have this debate. Wait, you said Lucci can clash with Gear 5 but not Kaido just because you feel like it? Nah. It's not just because I feel like it. It's because Luffy's feats are way beyond what Lucci has ever displayed. It's because Luffy's feats are way beyond what Lucci ever displayed, and it's like the most logical conclusion is Luffy's not going all out, which is backed up by what Lucci himself says. He's like, this attack that he's hitting me with here is way stronger than the first one. He's like, where is he getting so much force from? It's not from me saying, oh, I feel like this is what's happening. It's what the manga's telling me is happening. And the fact that like Luffy's just using Gear 5 on like a random snake, that's also showing you Luffy he's not using it because he has to. He's using it for fun. Troll, I'm not really sure. I'm just gonna go ahead and debate the Discord, guys. Okay, Troll, if you want, hop in the Discord too. Let me. Yeah, I gotta get this charger. Just 1 second. Where did I put it? Oh, that's right. And like Troll, like I said, man, like you're more than welcome to just hop into the Discord like everyone else is going to. You're more than welcome to, man. But here, I'm just opening up the chat on my other laptop so I can keep seeing the comments while I discuss with the Discord guys. No, Tayshawn, I'm not gonna ban anyone because like I don't know. I want people to be able to express their ideas, you know. But I'm gonna open up the. I'm just opening up the chat on my other laptop. Just 1 second, guys, and then I will hop in the Discord. Sorry for everyone in the people in the Discord probably been waiting. Troll, you said if he could have done it in base, he would have. Troll, but what about this snake, bro? I don't think that this snake is Gear 5 level, man. I really don't think he needed Gear 5 on this snake, man. I personally do not think this is a Gear 5 level snake. I think this scene, like, I straight up do think Oda put this scene right in the manga to show us that, like, Luffy's just using the form for fun. And, like, this is how Luffy's going to master the form. Because right now, Luffy has a big drawback with Gear 5, but I bet, like, soon, Luffy's not really going to have a drawback with Gear 5 anymore. And if Luffy wasn't just, like, spamming the form, people would be like, oh, where'd that come out of? Or that came out of nowhere. Yeah, Kagito, that is the point. Yeah, he was in Gear 5, but he didn't need it. Like, do you guys think he needed Gear 5 against this snake? Yeah, I'm sorry. I wasted a lot. I spent a lot of time on the YouTube chat. Let me open up the Discord now. I'm going to open up the Discord. Sorry that took so long. Just one more time, I'll show you guys how to enter the Discord. Probably a lot of people are just waiting there. Sorry. You go to my channel. Bro, I hope this Gone video I posted today does well. I hope it does. But if not, I'll post another one tomorrow. But so you go to my channel, you click on posts, you scroll down. My most recent post here is this like Zoro one. You click on the comments, then you click on the pinned comment. Okay, so and I think we're only gonna have a couple people in the debate because I have another stream I want to do after this one. So let's see, is there anyone in the chat? Oh, there's a bunch of. Oh, hold up. Hold on a second. I gotta check. 1 second. Are you? Hey, what's up, everyone? Are you guys here for the debate, or were you guys just like chilling in this one?
No, we was debating, bro, and it was getting ignorant.
Oh wait, hold up. Why is it? Oh, hold on, my phone's being weird. I can barely hear you guys. 1 second. Hold on. Wait, could you guys say something real quick?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Oh, okay, yeah. Were you guys here for the debate, or were you guys just like chilling in here?
No, we was in here debating on our own.
Oh, okay.
Just going to debate a little.
Oh, my fault. Did you guys want to be in the live stream, or were you guys just chilling?
I slided.
I'll probably just mute myself and just listen. I'll just listen. I don't know if I got the energy anymore.
Oh, no worries. Would you guys want to, like, I was going to hop into the debate voice chat one. If anyone wanted to debate, would you guys want to hop in there?
Yeah, I'm gonna hop in now. I'm gonna mute.
Okay. I'm going to hop in debate voice chat one. Okay.
Okay.
All right, yo.
You guys hear me, by the way?
Hold up. I don't. Here. I might have to like exit and hop back in. 1 second. Let me see. Okay. Could you guys say something real quick? Okay, yeah, it's working. Okay, sick. Were you guys debating like how strong is Zoro too?
I just got here, but yeah, I want to do that.
So he was just debating how strong he is currently.
Yeah, yeah. Not we're just talking about like how strong would like Elbaf Zoro be, but if you wanted to, you could talk about like Wano, then Egghead, then Elbaf if you want. But
Oh, sure. I'm itching to talk about this because I think the community's perception of Zoro was just always wrong. It was just it was always covered with rose synthetic glasses and shit.
Yeah, I agree.
yeah, I want to.
Not just hating.
I want to. I want to hear you guys'
I'm a
ideas.
Zoro fanboy, bro.
So let's have Ashura go first. And then we can. Who else wants to share? Does everyone want to share?
Yeah.
All right. We'll have Ashura, then maybe Mugiwara right after, and then Draymond, and
Dream on a rainy day. Yeah.
okay, sick. And then you wanted to go Legend.
Have any time? I'll go last if there's time. If there's no time, that's fine.
Okay. How about I just like since there's so many people, how about I do like 7 minutes each? Like you could just share your points for 7 minutes, and the next guy.
All right, but sounds good.
Sure.
All right. Okay. Ready? Ashura, share your points, bro.
So I genuinely think that Luffy's over King of Hell Zoro, like even at base, and like it's very simple. Like, bro, the only way Zoro could use Conquerors was through Enma, and like you could even like see it like when he was like struggling with Enma during mid fight against King. Like he went the entire fight completely nerfed. Like he was fighting his own sword. He was trying to pick up all three of his swords and shit. And then like he was trying to stabilize his hockey while fighting King. And while he did it, he was and we find out like, oh shit, like I'm sorry for cussing. If I don't know if I can cuss on.
Oh no, you're
this,
good.
But,
You're good. You're good.
all right. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, but like when he actually activated the form for like the first time, he suddenly like used like Conqueror's hockey, and that was like the only time he knew it. Like he didn't even know he had it, and that was the first time we ever seen him like use it. So and like when we like see like how he was trained by Mihawk just kind of just gave him the basics and just sent him on his way, I believe, for what I originally remember. And like Luffy alone had like 3 different training arcs, like five to 10 like hockey blooms and whatnot, and he learned how to do future sight against Katakuri. He learned directly what Conquerors was, and then like he learned how to use Rio properly. And on top of that, he had a hockey bloom to like use Conquerors as an armament, like against Kaido. So like compared to like Zoro, Luffy has so many like hockey like power ups, I guess you could say, compared to Zoro. And Zoro's barely tapped into his like potential, I believe. Like he's just using armament, and like he just suddenly just uses Conquerors.
No, I feel you, bro. And honestly, those are really good points. Like Luffy's kit is pretty stacked. And you actually got through all those points in just 2 minutes. So like maybe I'll just give like 3 minutes to each person then.
I mean, I was kind of in a rush, and I didn't really want to use the time. But yeah, probably 5 minutes will be good.
Okay, 5. Okay. Yeah. Was there more stuff you wanted to say?
In a straight up fight, I think Luffy would just go overkill against Zoro using Gear 4. Like Snake Man alone would just overwhelm him.
Yeah, and
It'd just be too much.
And his like mini Gear 4 form that he has now, I think that is like really powerful. It just seems the mastered version of Gear 4. Luffy's just really broken right now, especially like when you stack Future Sight on top of it, and he just has insane feats. But yeah, I was saying like based on feats, I think Gear 2, Gear 3, Luffy has better feats, but I think like narratively Zoro's like relative to Gear 4. But I understand what you're saying though with saying like straight up Luffy has shown better feats with like just base by like splitting the sky and like doing crazy stuff. So I see what you're saying too, honestly.
Yeah, and like it's made worse by the fact that whenever Luffy shows shows that he could use like a form's like techniques without going into the form itself. Like remember like pre-time skip, he actually like used like bone balloon for like gear 3, and then like use the attack. But now like after the time skip, he can just use a gear 3 attack.
Yeah,
He's kind of just starting to show that with gear 4 now. So like, that's just a sign that he's just growing stronger.
yeah,
He's like absorbing the form like in base.
I agree. Yeah, like that's him like mastering his gears. I also think that's why he's using gear 5 so much, because like Oda's eventually going to make him just start doing like crazy gear 5 stuff with no drawbacks. And if he didn't spam gear 5 a bunch, people would just call it like plot. But like him spamming it a lot, people would be like, oh yeah, that's how he mastered it, you know?
Oh yeah.
But those
Absolutely.
are really, those are all really good points. Did you want to share any like last thing before Mugiwara goes?
Mihawk didn't give a shit about Zoro's development. I'm gonna say it right there. He's like, just use hockey and just get out of my way, bro. He wanted to be alone.
That is facts.
All right, those are good points, man. Mugiwara. I'll do 5 minutes for you too, bro. What are your points, man?
Okay, so basically I'm going back off what a lot of stuff he said was, and this is me going back a little bit towards Whole Cake. Luffy from Whole, because Zoro wasn't at Whole Cake, so when's the last time Zoro got a power-up from, like, since before Whole Cake? He got to Wano and he got a sword, but he hasn't really gotten any training, he hasn't gotten any big fights, and so whatever Zoro did on Wano, he had in him since before Whole Cake. He went to Wano and was drinking the whole time. I don't think you guys understand how strong Zoro was. I just think Zoro's a lot stronger than you guys think. Like, you guys are saying Gear 4 beats him. I think that's crazy. I don't think anything outside of what Luffy did in that Kizaru fight to beat Kizaru, I don't think anything less than that is beating Zoro. Zoro has a lot of hockey mastery, but Luffy is stronger than him by the Wano rooftop fight by a lot, because Luffy has Ryu and he has advanced conquerors. We just found out that Zoro doesn't even know he has conquerors, so he doesn't have advanced conquerors at all. He doesn't know he's using it to have advanced. And so once Luffy pulls out advanced conquerors, once Luffy pulls out Ryu, yes, he's stronger. But before that, I think Zoro's putting belt to ass on Luffy. I think he is. I don't think Luffy, like the thing is, when Luffy fights swordsmen, a comparable swordsman, he has no, like, his damage negation doesn't work. He's just fighting someone with a sword. They're cutting him. I think Zoro's cutting the shit out of Luffy. You know how when Luffy fought Mihawk on Marineford, and he almost lost his arms. He had to like wake Future Sight to like get out of that, but he had never really shown Future Sight feats before. I think that's exactly what would happen. Like, I think Luffy would have to lock in a lot to be able to beat Zoro. Not that he couldn't beat him, but I think it would take Gear 5 100%. Like, Zoro's way stronger than you guys are giving him credit for. Like, that King fight was so ridiculously crazy. And for me, I know everyone's not like this, but, like, I take everything that happens in the manga canon, but then once the anime changes it up a little bit, for One Piece at least, I kind of sort of take a lot of the anime stuff canon. And so, like, I see the King fight, and even though that King fight is not nearly what happened in the manga, I'm like, the anime is canon now. So Zoro doing all those feats is like, how do you explain that? He's strong as shit. And I don't like people, like, and I think people hate on Zoro because of Sanji. Because Sanji gets hoed, because all this bad stuff happens to Sanji. People have to bring Zoro down. And it's like, no, stop doing that. The reason Sanji gets hoed so much is because Sanji's ambitions are to cook, not to cook, but to find a sea and cook all the fish. Zoro's ambitions is to be the best swordsman in the world. Sanji's ambitions don't match up. Sanji has to find better ambitions, and then on top of that, Sanji doesn't use his hands. He doesn't hit women. He's not as dedicated to the crew or to Luffy as Zoro is. Stop trying to compare two people like who are on different levels. Before Sanji can really level up, he has to start hitting Paul, he has to start hitting girls, and he has to start using his hands, or he's just not as dedicated. And people are trying to like keep them together, and it's like the fact that Sanji is up there with Zoro, with not hitting females and not using his hands is crazy. Sanji's crazy powerful. Imagine if he used his hands. So I think a lot of it is, I think a lot of it's based off other people's speculation and other people's reasoning to keep Sanji up. They're keeping Zoro down.
I mean,
That's it for me.
You made some good points. I mean, yeah, if you're saying Luffy fights without advanced conquerors hockey, that's like most of his power. Like, I would say like Luffy in base form might be able to beat Gear 4 without, like, Luffy base form using advanced conquerors might beat Gear 4 Luffy without advance. Like,
Honestly, you're right, because on the rooftop he was going fucking crazy.
Yeah, so it's like his advanced conquerors is just such a huge power up for Luffy, and like that was also something Kaido was talking about. It's like hockey kind of beats everything, and it's just really important once you start getting to these high tiers. So like, I mean, yeah, I agree. Like Zoro, I think like that is kind of like a very holding back Luffy though if he's not using advanced conquerors and if he's not using future sight, because those are like his two strongest things, you know. But Zoro is super strong, like. I mean, we saw what he did to Lucci, and Lucci's not a slouch by any means. So, he is a super strong character. Like, I mean, something to think about, bro, is like by the time Sanji beat Queen, like Zoro and Sanji were both above like 90% of like all pirates in One Piece. Like, there's almost no one who can really beat them. You have to be like a very high tier level guy to beat Zoro and Sanji. So like saying you lose to Luffy is not a bad thing. It's just Luffy is like literally like close to the top 10. So.
Luffy's a god, quite literally.
Yeah, he's just genuinely different. And like another thing is Yonkos are just portrayed to be crazy. Like we saw Big Mom, she's like genuinely about as smart as the average toddler, but she was still so strong that her whole crew was like, yeah, if she crashes out, she'll kill every one of us, and Katakuri included. So like Yonkos are just supposed to be on a different level, but like I see what you're saying, man. But okay, next it was Draymond, right?
Yeah.
All right, what's up, bro? Yeah, okay, I got another 5 minutes for you. So what's your stance on it, bro?
Sure. So I'll just tackle it kind of two ways. On paper, and then I guess basically like narratively / like how Luffy has grown. So on paper, I'd say Luffy's armament is better than Zoro. I think all of his hockey blooms have just made it naturally stronger. And then you have internal Ryo on top of that, which almost, well, it's not confirmed, but we don't know if Zoro has it, but pretty sure that Zoro doesn't have it.
He doesn't!
He has regular Ryo, like, you know, to cut people, but he hasn't been taught the internal one that Hyogoro taught him.
Right.
I would say. I mean, we've never seen him do internal damage like that. Mm-hmm. I mean, Hyogoro says like Luffy has another level beyond that even samurais in Wano country do. So that's what I'm saying. Like the level 2, whatever you want to call it, internal Ryo. Mm-hmm. And then obviously observation. His observation is way better than Zoro's. He's got future sight. I'm sure Zoro has like some attacks that can pressure Luffy to maybe tag him, something like Dragon Twister or something. But, you know, obviously it's a big advantage for Luffy. And then Conqueror's Hockey. So, bit of a spicy take, but we'll see how you guys feel about it. So, when Zoro hit Kaido with his Ashura, he couldn't knock him down. You know, he was upset about that and kind of went like, it's okay, you scarred me at least. And then immediately after, Luffy unlocks his advanced conquerors and then knocks Kaido down with 2 punches. Mm-hmm. So the spicy part about that, you could say, is Luffy's base is stronger than Zoro's Ashura Conqueror's attack, which was basically his strongest attack at the time. Mm-hmm. And then after that, Luffy gets an even bigger bloom when he comes back onto the rooftop and clashes with Kaido and splits the sky. Of course, Zoro gets his King of Hell mode. Who knows how much stronger that makes him, but I'd still say Luffy's ACOG is still stronger than Zoro's. So, you know, even if he went Ashura in King of Hell mode, like, Luffy would probably need, at best, Gear 3 to match it. I mean, might be spicy, but I think that's not the crazy thing to say based on what happened to that chapter.
Yeah.
Then he's got his speed. I mean, pretty safe to say that Luffy's faster than Zoro, especially in Gear 2. So, and then stamina. That's the interesting one. I think Zoro's stamina issue is from him not knowing that he's using Conquerors. Like, he wasn't trained in it like Luffy was with Rayleigh. Like, if he learns how to, like, naturally, you know, exude it when he wants to, then he probably wouldn't be having such a bad stamina issue.
Mm-hmm.
So, Luffy not having to go into Gear 4 and Gear 5 actually is better for him because he just has to outlast Zoro. So, on paper, there's pretty much nothing that Zoro has above Gear 2, Gear 3 Luffy with all his haki. So, that's like the first way I'm thinking about it. And then the other way I'm thinking about it is, so Luffy becomes first commander level after he beats Katakuri, like right there, with his future sight. And then he gets his Rio, and then he gets his ACOG, and then he gets his Gear 5. So I'm just going to throw in Lucci here to compare. So I don't think it's crazy to say that Lucci and Luffy were equal post-time skip without Gear 4 and without Awakening. I mean, I would just say that Rayleigh's training is probably better, but I'm just going to give, you know, Lucci some benefit of doubt that he trained just as hard, just got as much as a boost as Luffy did. So basically, Gear 2, Gear 3 Luffy would extreme diff Lucci. I'm going to give him every benefit of doubt. So it's kind of crazy. I don't know how you guys see it, but I don't think Awakening a regular Zoan is that much of a power boost when you factor in Luffy going Gear 4, which is already crazy, and then you put Rio, where Gear 3 Rio is already better than pre-Wano Gear 4 Luffy, because Red Rock was already better than anything Luffy was doing to Kaido. And then put on top of that ACOG, so base Luffy is already better than a Gear 3 Rio Luffy. And then you put Gear 5 on top of that. Like, that's just too many jumps in power that Luffy gets for me to think that Lucci is anywhere near, like, even a Gear 4 Rio Luffy. I mean, I feel like Gear 4 would be equal to Awakening, a regular Zoan Awakening. But, I mean, you can give him Rio on top of that, too, if you want to, like, really gas Lucci. But that's just the way I see it. I don't feel like a regular Awakening would be, you know, like, several training arcs for Luffy to get to that, you know, fighting Kaido rooftop level. But, and basically, like, Zoro beat that Lucci, who's, I would say, like, at best first commander level, based on what I just said.
Yeah,
So,
I pretty much agree with you, like, all the way. Yeah, because I was saying, like, based on feats, I think Zoro is around, like, Gear 2, Gear 3 Luffy. But based on narrative, I would put him to, like, Gear 4, just, like, purely narrative. Not even, like, the feats would really back that up. Just, like, I mean, I don't even really have words to back it up. It's just, like, I would assume he'd be around there, but I have legit no feats that put him on at that level. His feats are, like, around Gear 2, Gear 3 level. But I actually do agree with everything you're saying. And I think, like, Lucci versus King would be, like, a very challenging fight, I think. But yeah, that was the full 5 minutes. I do pretty much agree with everything you were saying there, though. And I think the last person I said was the Legend, right? Is the Legend still here? He might.
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, okay, sick. Yeah, bro. Did you want to share some points for the next 5 minutes here?
Very quickly. I just want to make sure I got the topic of discussion correct. Is the question, is Zoro overhyped?
Yeah, and honestly, I'm gonna change the title. Like, I'm probably going to just change it to like.
I was about to easily prove that. I was about to easily disprove that.
I'll probably change it to like, how strong is Zoro? Like, I just had this thumbnail, so I just made the title match it. But like, yeah, I mean, if you want to talk about is Zoro overhyped, you can do that too. More, I just wanted to see like, how strong do people think Zoro is? Because I've heard people say they think he's like Gear 5 level, and I've heard people say he's like base Luffy level. So I just wanted to see like what the most common thoughts were, really.
Okay, well, real quickly, I'm gonna go over the points that will prove the opposite of Zoro being overhyped. He's actually underrated for a couple reasons. Even if you just go with asking the community how they view certain Zoro situations, you can easily prove that he's underrated. For one, I never have gotten a non-copious reason for why Kaido dodged a one-sword style Zoro. I've never gotten a straight answer as to why Kaido, a Yonko, dodged a pre-King of Hell one-sword style Zoro. Nobody can answer the question.
I would just say it reminded him of Odin. Like,
well, you say it again. I was about to continue, but go ahead.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I didn't mean to interrupt. Like, I was just gonna say it reminded him of Odin. Like, it would be like an Odin. You could say that's like an Odin level slash, maybe. But
and then my rebuttal to that would be, we see from the panel that even in the manga and in anime, the cut nicks Kaido's cheek and draws blood. So that tells you it wasn't just because it wasn't not due to damage. I think it was due to damage. That's why I think Big Mom said something, because Big Mom has no idea who Odin is. But I'll move on to my next point. Mm-hmm. When people describe Zoro using Ashura, that alone tells you that he's underrated, because I've seen continuously people will mention the fact that he used Ashura on Kaido and didn't get the result that he wanted, but they won't mention that he had 20 broken bones, and then he looked over at Law and said, hey, after this attack, I won't be able to physically move. So I'm not even saying that if he could have moved, he would have beat Kaido, but people don't even acknowledge the fact that if he could still move, he would have been able to fight for longer. So the people underrate that feat. They don't even acknowledge that he had 20 broken bones. And then when I ask people, so what do you think would happen to Luffy if he had got hit with the one sword style that he sent at Kaido? Like, if Luffy was in the same position and he got hit by that attack, I see people cope and say Luffy would take little to no damage. So I just think that's underrating Zoro to a degree. Also, Zoro's biggest claim to be an admiral level, I don't even see people mention. I'm almost curious to ask if anybody can have something that they would say can concretely put Zoro on a level of admirals, and they'll never bring up the fact that King's final attack was magma based. So by Oda's own words, he said Akainu has the magma fruit, and it has the most offensive powers in the verse. So by default, we've seen Zoro handle magma, which has the most offensive power, like butter. He cut through it like butter. Nobody mentions it. So that's underrating Zoro, in my opinion, because Akainu's made of magma. So lastly, I would say the Rob Lucci fight. I see people try to equate the fact that he had a longer fight than he should have had with Rob Lucci to Zoro somehow being just leagues under Luffy, right? But nobody recalls the fact that the person that taught Zoro, or is the pinnacle of what Zoro wants to become, he demonstrated when he met Zoro in their first encounter that you don't hunt rabbits with a cannon. That's why Zoro said, if this is all you can do, you don't deserve to meet my captain. And he proceeded to turn King of Hell off. People don't bring that up. They'll just say, oh, he used King of Hell on Lucci. Well, he also didn't use 3 swords for a duration of the fight. So obviously he's practicing not hunting a rabbit with a cannon. And the very last thing I have is, how do you think Zoro would have did if he was placed in the same exact situation as Kid? Do you think Shanks would be able to just blitz Zoro? People say yes. So that's a clear indication of people just underrating Zoro. And that's it.
No, I mean, I think those were good points. Just like my stance on it real quick, like when it comes to the flame magma thing, Zoro said that the flames were like magma, but they weren't like he wasn't saying that they're exactly magma. So we don't know for certain if he can actually cut through real magma. And another thing is like your devil fruit gets stronger the more you train with it. So even if like Akainu starts out at like magma level, him plus his like experience with his fruit plus his hockey on top might be, it's probably a lot stronger than like what King can do. Another thing I think is like I don't know if Zoro would be able to chop through the flame Bagua that Kaido did. I don't know if he'd be able to. We don't really know the limits to like that flame chopping thing, but yeah, that's one.
I mean, I would he would struggle to cut through the flaming drum dragon just because Kaido was behind it. Like King did a projectile, so it wasn't like King himself amplifying the magma. Kaido was encased inside of the magma-like flame. So I do think that Zoro wouldn't have been able to cut through the Kaido magma thing. He would have definitely struggled way more than he did with King. So I agree with you on that for sure.
You might be able to make an argument like if he can't get past Akainu's haki, he might not be able to chop through his magma either. You might be able to make that argument too, but that's kind of like a more niche kind of argument. And
Then I would simply argue with that we've seen Zoro before King of Hell and unknowingly using Conquerors able to damage Kaido. So now Zoro currently in the story, like as of actually like last week, because Gaban just told him he had Conquerors. So now I'm just going to use current Zoro. I think current Zoro with the understanding of Conquerors and now having the King of Hell form, I do think he would be able to compete with Akainu now. Now, before that, no. When he was fighting against King, no, I think Akainu would have outgunned King by a long shot. Kaido would have too. But with Zoro now having an understanding of Conquerors, like you just said, Akainu's haki would be the next problem. And Zoro just found out about Conquerors. That's it.
I don't think that he's close to the Admirals yet, to be honest. But another thing I was thinking is you were saying, like, how would Luffy do if he got hit by that slash that Kaido dodged? My thoughts on it. First, I think that slash that Zoro did, that like one-arm slash that Kaido dodged, I think that was weaker than the Ashura. And Kaido like tanked that and it didn't even fall over. But we see like Luffy tank like Ragnarok from Man Beast form. Kaido takes it to the head and just like keeps pushing. I think like just the large amount of damage Luffy was able to tank in the fight against Kaido is why people think he would be able to take that slash too. I would say that slash Zoro did was probably stronger than like any of the attacks the other guys had done up until that point. I would say that. But I don't think it's like massively stronger than like Advanced Conqueror's Haki Luffy afterwards though.
So essentially your argument comes down to you think Kaido didn't evade for safety reasons. You think he evaded because he thought he just saw Odin.
Well, he evaded because Big Mom told him to, and like Big Mom was sensing Odin like from that sword, and the anime goes further and like shows him as Odin when he does the slash too. So it just seems like they're just sensing like as if Odin was there for a brief second.
Okay, we understand that he's seen Odin, but Zoro's the one wielding the sword. So irregardless, there was a slash coming toward him, whether he was in fear of the power of Odin mistakenly, because obviously it was Zoro. So even regardless if he's mistaking the attack power as being Odin's or Zoro's, why did he ultimately evade the attack? Why did he evade it?
Well, it's because Big Mom told him to. He wasn't going to it at the start, and I don't think it was going to like one-shot him or anything. It might have.
So you think
it might have damaged him? It might have damaged him, yeah. But like,
only because Big Mom told him to. The reason he dodged it.
Yeah, wasn't he going to just stand there and tank it at first?
I don't know. I don't have any evidence to prove that that's what he was about to do. But I'm saying like you're claiming that because Big Mom told him to, that's why he did it. I mean, I feel like I seen Kaido tell Big Mom that he was going to kill her if she came to the island. So I would say that Kaido has demonstrated that he's not one to readily take orders from somebody, because we see that he told Big Mom not to come to the island and he had her in handcuffs. He let her get out of handcuffs and then they began to battle each other. So I don't think Kaido was that impressionable that he only did it because Big Mom told him to. I wouldn't make that argument. I would say it was for safety reasons. I'm not saying he would have got one shot, but I'm saying I think he evaded the attack whether he thought it was Odin or thought it was Zoro. We know it was Zoro. And he evaded the attack because, I mean, why else do you evade? There's no other definition for evading something other than to preserve your own life. That's the only reason you dodge.
Well, I mean, I hear what you're saying, but like, I just well, here's a couple things. Like Zoro, when he does Ashura, he says, "This is the limits of my abilities." He says like, "This is my strongest move so far," and then Kaido takes that just fine. He doesn't even fall over. And then, so like that to me is saying that the Ashura Zoro did, even though he was massively damaged, was still stronger than that slash. Another thing is Kaido, when he's fighting Luffy, he straight up says, "I wonder how long it's been since I fought someone who could truly go toe to toe with me." And he fought Zoro as well. So for like from his perspective, Zoro couldn't go toe to toe with him truly.
I would agree with that. That's not my argument. My argument was only that, you know, Kaido feared taking damage from Zoro with one sword. That's my argument, and that's Zoro. And I think people downplay that, like as if, oh no, like your own video says, is he overhyped? I'm saying Kaido dodged because he was afraid he was going to take damage, but you'll say, nah, he just dodged because Big Mom told him to, and because he was hallucinating. To me, that's underrated. And I'm just addressing the title of the video.
I'd say he would take damage, yes, but less than Ashura did.
Okay, I agree with that. I agree with that. I'm just saying, you see how you immediately, though, instead of saying that, you just said, oh, he dodged because of Big Mom. That's what I was addressing as far as the video. Like, people underrate Zoro more than they fairly rate him.
I see what you're saying.
I had to get you to say that.
I see what you're saying, but I also would not put Zoro like near the admirals just yet, because like before he went into King of Hell, he was getting overpowered by King, and I don't think King is an admiral tier fighter.
Okay, so what do you make of the Sanji showing on AK when he blocked the kick from Kizaru?
I mean, just because you can clash with an admiral doesn't mean you're like admiral level. Like
we do agree that Zoro is to a degree stronger than Sanji. I'm not sure about your take on that.
Yeah, I do think he's a little stronger, yeah.
Okay, so I would say currently, I'm not going to say Zoro's going to beat an admiral, but I think at the bare minimum, he's comparable, and it would be a high diff fight for them to beat Zoro on Elbaf. On Elbaf specifically. Now that he's been taught about conquerors and he's aware of it, Gabon said out his own mouth, not knowing you have conquerors is a detriment to your captain because you can't properly utilize it. Zoro didn't even know he had it. So I'm arguing that now, not before, but now because he's aware of it, that he can compete with the admirals. And I don't think that's outrageous.
Well, I just don't think he has the feats to back that up, because he was legit getting overpowered by a First Division commander, and like, I mean, First Division commanders range in power a lot, though. Like, a lot of people don't realize like how heavily Katakuri's been power cliffed, for example. But yeah, I personally do not think that he's like on an admiral level yet.
I can make this real simple. Is Kaido more durable than the admirals? Yes or no?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay, did Zoro demonstrate that before unlocking and mastering Emma that he could damage Kaido? So by default, he would be able to damage the admirals.
I mean, he can damage them if they just stand there and take his attacks to the chest, like Kaido did for most of the fight. But like, the fact that
Kaido took damage from Zoro while he was on guard. When Zoro did Ashura, Kaido was prepared for Zoro to come at him. So Yonko was damaged by Zoro while being on guard pre-King of Hell with 20 broken bones. Well, so if he could do that to a Yonko pre-King of Hell, what makes you think 4 HP with King of Hell, he can't even combat with admirals? Because not just damage, but combat with them.
Well, that's not exactly what I'm saying. I think an admiral would beat Zoro like pretty handily, like at most mid-diff.
Mid-diff?
Yeah, at most. Honestly, I can make an argument for low diff, to be honest, but like, the reason I'm saying this is because Kaido makes it pretty clear that he's not going all out against really anyone. He doesn't, like, the best way I can prove that is, like, Kaido himself says, like, no one else other than Luffy was even going toe-to-toe with him. That's him just straight up telling you he's been holding back the whole time. The other thing is we see Kaido, like, squaring up, clashing with base form Luffy, and then clashing with Gear 5 Luffy. That's showing you, like, he's holding back in the fight. Like, he likes fighting, right? So he's not going to just go all out. Like, if Kaido went all out from the very beginning, everyone's just getting cooked.
Let me ask you a question to determine some consistency. So correct me if I'm wrong. before Zoro used Ashura, was Luffy killed? So didn't Kaido just kill Luffy when Zoro did Ashura?
Luffy was knocked out. Luffy was knocked out. He wasn't dead there. He died like when the CP0 agent like interrupted their battle.
So Luffy, wait. So just to be clear, Luffy didn't awaken Gear 5 right after Ashura. He did. That wasn't when he awakened.
No, it was a little after that. He fought Kaido like two times after that.
Okay, so my only argument against you trying to say, well, when Zoro was using Ashura, Kaido really wasn't trying that hard. I think if somebody just kills my captain and then I step up to defend my captain, I would think that person is using some degree of seriousness if he just KO'd Luffy. He just KO'd the person that you said was far stronger than Zoro. So now you think he's going to turn to Zoro and then just de-escalate? You think he just de-escalated after knocking Luffy out?
Well, no, the Luffy that got knocked out didn't have Advanced Conqueror's Haki yet. And, like, Luffy with Rio is, like, very... So before Advanced Conqueror's Haki, Luffy and Zoro were very close. They were, like, extremely close in power before Luffy...
I thought he already had Rio when Zoro did Ashura. He already had Rio, no? It was just shallow.
I might have just misspoke. I meant to say before Advanced Conqueror's Haki, they were very close. So, like... When Luffy first got knocked out, all he had was Rio. He did not have Advanced Conqueror's Haki yet. That version of Luffy and that version of Zoro are very close. But the moment Luffy gets Advanced Conqueror's Haki, he just skyrockets. So that's like a completely different guy.
Now that we know Zoro now has Conqueror's Haki, King of Hell, and with Gaban telling him about Conquerors, do we then extend that same courtesy to Zoro? Now that he knows and has Advanced Conquerors, he'll be able to get a power boost that allow him to compete against Admirals? Or are we just saying
no,
Luffy getting a boost doesn't compare with Zoro?
No, because Luffy's Conqueror's Haki is just on a different level than Zoro's. Luffy learned Conqueror's Haki in the time skip. Luffy 500 chapters ago has better Conqueror's Haki feats than Zoro does right now. Luffy, like, back in Fishman Island, was knocking out 50,000 fishmen just casually. Like, Zoro has never displayed that. Then he gets Advanced Conqueror's Haki 500 chapters later, like, on top of that. And it's, like, his affinity anyway. So, there's different levels to Conqueror's Haki. Not everyone gets the same boost.
So, essentially what you're saying is the Kaido that fought against Zoro and Luffy is a weaker Kaido than the Admirals. That's what you're saying.
Well, how are you getting that?
Because I'm trying to use Zoro's performance against Kaido as a grounds to compare how he would do against Admirals, but you're saying, well, Kaido wasn't really taking them seriously.
Yes,
so
that's right.
You think the Kaido that fought against Zoro wouldn't be comparable to Admirals?
It's hard to gauge exactly, but
it's hard.
It's hard to gauge exactly, but like I would just say, a lot of what Zoro's doing is because Kaido's not going all out. If Kaido wanted to, he would have low dipped Zoro.
Yeah, so essentially, like, I don't even see how you, like, I tend to make arguments that, like, come with some form of evidence. Essentially, what I think you're doing is you're making an argument for Kaido somehow nerfing himself when I don't really see a whole lot of evidence for that.
Well, there's a ton of evidence.
Let me make it so clear. I don't think Kaido was nerfing himself to be weaker than Admirals. That's what I don't think.
Well, I'll put it like this. There's a ton of evidence that Kaido wasn't really taking Zoro seriously because he himself says that. He says, like, it's been so long since anyone went toe-to-toe with me when he's fighting Luffy.
Well, do we understand that Zoro didn't even have the opportunity? Did you hear what he said to Law before he launched Ashura? He didn't even have an opportunity, so you can't use...
Wait, what do you mean? What do you mean he didn't have an opportunity? He hit him with his strongest attack.
Look, you're using the fact that Kaido said nobody's went toe-to-toe with him in so long as grounds that say, well, Zoro didn't do that when he had the opportunity. Well, let's be fair.
Wait, Zoro didn't do what?
Zoro had 20 broken bones, and he told Law he wouldn't be able to move afterwards.
Well,
so Zoro wasn't even in a position to continue the fight. So you can't use that.
I mean, okay, so here's the thing. Zoro was near death, but so was Luffy. Kaido word for word says, like, you're pretty much a zombie. You're near death. You'll stand no chance against me. Then Luffy awakens Advanced Conqueror's Haki. Here's the thing. I could make it, yes, Zoro broke his bones, but he was still conscious. Luffy took so much damage that he was knocked clean out. and then got back up. So like, and Kaido himself says that he was near death. So like, they're both near death, but Luffy's feats were just better.
But you would agree to be able to go toe to toe with somebody, you need to be able to physically move, correct?
To go toe to toe with somebody, you need to be able to physically move. I mean, Zoro was able to physically move at the start of the fight and just wasn't going toe to toe with him. Like at the very start of the fight, he hits Kaido in the neck with a slash, and it doesn't even cut his skin.
That's the beginning of the fight. That's not Ashura. That's a completely different moment in the fight.
Yeah, but I mean, here's the thing.
Tell me if I'm wrong, because I'm new to this, and I know you've been doing this longer than me, so you can help me understand this. So when it comes to the anime with Kaido versus Zoro, I know some people like to use some things from the anime and not other things because some things are filler. Can we use when Zoro pulled out Ashura, he clashed with Kaido a couple times before he did Blades Drawn. So it wasn't like he pulled Ashura out and immediately did it. He clashed with Kaido, then they took a step back and Zoro did a spin attack and then got past Kaido's club and landed Blades Drawn. So what I'm trying to say to you is, with 20 broken bones from the anime, I don't know if you would use that. You might be like, I'm not going to use that. But from the anime, it shows me that when he was in Ashura, there was a small scuffle before he used Blades Drawn. So right there, that tells you with 20 broken bones, he already had a scuffle with Kaido. After doing the attack, he could no longer move. So he doesn't even have the ability to go toe to toe because he can't physically move. You can't use that against him if he told Law, I won't be able to move after this.
Well, I mean, the thing is, it's like, even if you want to say he had a scuffle with him, in Kaido's perspective, that attack was so weak, he didn't care. It wasn't enough to go toe to toe with him. And then also, like, immediately after that, Luffy in base form, like, does a feat that Zoro was genuinely too weak to do. Zoro said, like, he was hoping it would knock Kaido on his back. That was the strongest attack. He was hoping it would do that. But it didn't.
Let's clarify because I had this argument. Did he say on his back or on his knees?
I'll just pull up the exact panel.
Yeah, because I had this argument and I think I did pretty well when I demonstrated that.
So he was saying, I was at least hoping I'd knock you off your feet. And
knock feet.
And Kaido just stood there, just tanked it. And then Luffy, like, the next page, punches him twice and he goes flying onto his back. So it's like, it's showing you that, like, Luffy achieved the thing that Zoro failed to do. And I mean, the counter argument I've seen people say is like, well, he still scarred him, which is true. That's a good thing. But it's like, the fact that Luffy could knock him off his feet and Zoro couldn't says a lot. Like, imagine if you replace Kaido with Brook. Brook is getting sent flying off his back because Zoro's strong enough to do that. He could not send Kaido off of his feet because he's not strong enough to, but Luffy was. So.
I'll be honest with you, I would disagree with that particular point. I don't think Zoro's attacks are meant to send people flying because they're slashing attacks. But I think they're meant to penetrate. I
mean, you really think Brook would take that standing up and wouldn't fall over?
I think he would get cut in two. I think he would just get cut clean in two and fall off of his feet. He would get cut in two. Fall off of his feet.
He's falling over though, is what I'm saying. But Kaido didn't. And that the reason why Kaido didn't is because Zoro was too weak. There's really no other way to put it. Like, the reason why you're saying, yeah, Brook would fall over is because Zoro's strong enough to do that to Brook. He's not strong enough to do that to Kaido, but Luffy is. And Luffy did that in base. So, like, the big thing I say is, like, if Zoro really was an Admiral tier fighter like people think he is, he would have low-diffed King. He wouldn't have gotten slammed the whole fight until he awakened King of Hell.
Do you think that all of the Admirals have observation haki?
Some. Like Aokiji like showed some feats that made it look like he did.
Or do you at the very least think that they have knowledge on Lunarians and how their powers work?
I think they might, but I don't really know what their lore knowledge is on stuff like that.
Because if Admirals have knowledge on how Lunarians work, then I agree with you. They will low-diff King. But if they go into it not knowing the same way Zoro didn't know, I don't think it would be a low-diff. So, but I think they would have intel because Vegapunk was doing experiments on Seraphim. So if they got that intel, I agree. That's a low-diff for sure.
But I think if Zoro can figure it out, like, they can too. And, like, the other thing is, like, we saw Green Bull fought King and Queen at the same time and just decimated them both.
Yeah, I mean, well, we would agree that after Zoro unlocked King of Hell, it was no longer extreme lift. He ended King in what, 2 attacks?
Well, no, in the manga they clashed a lot. Like they had a full page of just like clashing attacks.
Okay, my only argument against like when people try to bring up Zoro couldn't do what Ashura, what Luffy did, and whatever. I mean, honestly, do we really think that sword attacks are meant to have the same effect of blunt force attacks? I think they're two different type of attacks to
Well,
begin with.
I would say in the real world, no, but One Piece is such a wacky verse. Literally, Brook does not take lightning damage because he doesn't have skin. I don't think it really makes 100% sense, in my opinion, to just like randomly apply like real world physics when when Zoro himself is saying, "I thought that that's what this attack would do, but it didn't
Okay,
do
so
it."
let me touch your consistency real quick. So, do you believe that Zoro couldn't have meant something? So essentially, Zoro said, "I wanted to at least knock you off of your feet." Do you believe that he could have meant something different than what Luffy did? I'll give an example in a second, but do you think he could have been talking about something different than Luffy?
Well, I think he meant he wanted more than what he got. Like, he looked at Kaido with clear disappointment. He's like, "Yo, you're different, bro. Like, how did you are still standing?" Like, that, what happened was not what Zoro wanted.
Okay, so this was what I would attribute that to. Every time we see Zoro and throughout the whole series, so this is me being consistent. When he lands his strongest or his final attack on his opponents, what happens? He slashes them, they get crippling damage, and then they fall off of their feet. Am I right or am I wrong?
Yeah, but that didn't happen though in against Kaido.
That's what I'm saying. So you said Luffy hit Kaido and sent him flying on his back. That's not the same as Zoro getting his final attack, flashing you, giving you crippling damage, not blunt force, crippling damage, and then you falling off of your feet, like we see with Kaku, like we see with Mr. One, like we see with the when he did the bird song thing on that female. Like we see with Killer, whenever he slashes you, he doesn't send you flying like Luffy. He cripples you and then you fall off of your feet. So Zoro essentially wanted to take Kaido. He wanted to at least cripple Kaido. That's how I take it. I take it he wanted to do enough damage to make Kaido fall over, because sword attacks are not like punching attacks. They're not the same. They're meant to slash you. They're not meant to send you flying. So you trying to make a 1-for-1 comparison to Luffy using a fucking punch, which is kinetic force, to send, like put it like this, Garp when he hit San Juan Wolf, that's essentially what Luffy did to Kaido. He used a blunt force attack to send somebody flying. You can't put Mihawk in the same situation and expect his sword attack to send somebody flying. And here's the even greater point, right? Because I see a lot of people trying to distinguish about whether Shanks is a swordsman or not. I'm going to be honest with you. When we see Roger do Divine Departure and it sends Odin flying, I think you could attribute that to somebody who uses a sword but isn't a true swordsman. When they do their attacks, they tend to be more blunt-like. Whereas when you have Mihawk or Zoro, a refined swordsman, their cuts tend to be more precise and do more damage because they're swordsmen. So I think that's just a reasonable observation.
I mean, that's, or I could just say like that's you just kind of proving yourself wrong though. Is like we see sword slashes send people flying. Like another example is Zoro himself does a combo attack with Luffy when they're like on the sea train in Water 7, and their goal is to like create a like cannon attack that like blows a hole through a wave. Zoro's like 50% of that attack, and they're still able to do it. It's like a push force attack. It shows you that like physics in One Piece are just kind of weird. So I mean I see the observation you're making, but like I would just trust the words of the character more than like observations, because like Oda didn't put that there for no reason.
Is Roger a swordsman in your opinion?
We don't really know enough about Roger to say. It's kind of maybe. We really don't know much about him at all. He fights with a sword, but like
we know Shanks duel with Mihawk. Would you consider him a swordsman?
Yeah, it's, I mean, that is maybe, yeah. I mean, but it's also like you have to. There's just a lot of things we don't really know yet because like we don't know what it exactly takes to create a black blade. Maybe like only real swordsmen can create black blades. Like there's a slight difference between swordsman and samurai. There, another thing is like.
Would you call King a swordsman?
No, yeah, King doesn't consider himself one really because he fights with like punches and kicks too.
So the observation that I would make, and I'm trying to lean on consistency. So when I'm making these observations, I'm trying to lean on multiple instances where we see this. When we see Roger do Divine Departure, it looked at like it was more of a force / kinetic type of a slash. When we see S-Hawk attack Blackbeard, we see that it's a slash that because it's not imbued with hockey and he doesn't have the experience of Mihawk and Zoro, it's not as potent or as precise as Mihawk or Zoro's would have been. So it pushed Blackbeard back. It had like a lot of force with it and pushed him back. But when we look at Mihawk
I think these are kind of stretches, especially when you're talking about Mihawk Seraphim doing that. That kind of like breaks the theory down. That's Mihawk Seraphim.
Yeah.
But I think that's enough for this debate, guys. I do have another stream I got to do after this one, but if you guys want to continue like on your own, feel free. Wait, it seemed like Draymond wanted to say one thing or something.
Oh yeah, literally just about to say the same thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, no worries. But all right, guys, I think that's everything for this debate. Thank you all for participating. I'm gonna head out of here, and I'm gonna read the YouTube chat real quick and then start the next stream.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you, guys. All right, chat, what did you think of that? That went on a lot longer than I was planning. I said at the start of the stream I was going to try and make this 1 hour, but like it went twice as long. Troll, you really should hop into the debate yourself, man. I'm not sure why you didn't hop in the whole time. Like you didn't hop in the Discord. I don't know why. You're welcome to, bro. You should have hopped in. But yeah, I mean, I would just like I more lean towards like what the series is showing us. Like, if you try hard enough, you can kind of debate anything, right? But at the end of the day, it's like, what's the story most likely telling you? It seems like based off of the feats, Zoro is like Gear 2, Gear 3 level. And based off of the narrative, at most, he's Gear 4 level. Because, like, his best argument is just... let me think. Out of everything he said, I think his best argument was trying to say, like, how much was Kaido holding back against Zoro? You can't really quantify that. But I would just go ahead and say, like, how it wasn't enough for Kaido to consider him a serious challenger. Like, Kaido didn't really think Zoro was a big deal. He wasn't even going toe-to-toe with him. And, like, quite frankly, like, I'm gonna just go ahead and say this. Based off of Kaido's own words, Zoro's below Gear 2 and Gear 3 Luffy. Based on Kaido's own words. Because, like, Kaido's fighting Gear 2 and Gear 3 Luffy saying, man, I wonder how long it's been since I fought someone who could truly go toe-to-toe with me. He fought Shura, did not say that. You know, so, I mean, if you really, like, I would go ahead and say, like, his arguments were highball, especially when you consider the fact that, like, Green Bull came in and soloed King and Queen at the same time, like they were fodder. Meanwhile, we saw King was just bullying Zoro until he went King of Hell, and then even in King of Hell, he was holding his own against Zoro anyway, and quite frankly, I didn't even say this in the debate, but if King had just stayed in his flame mode, he was going to win. Like, Zoro said that King of Hell was, like, killing him to use it. So, I mean, I could honestly make an argument that King is just stronger than Zoro anyway, and then we see King get, like, cooked by Green Bull. Like, Zoro's not a not an Admiral level guy. Immortal Rob, you said, we don't even know if Kaido used basic hockey against Zoro. That's true, too. But, yeah, it seems like if you try hard enough, you can really debate anything, but it just seems like the most logical interpretation is based off of the feats and the story. It's pretty much the same way it was back in NES Lobby. Like, Zoro is, like, relative to Gear 2, Gear 3 at most. That's how it was in NES Lobby, anyway. Yeah, Black Ice, you said because of plot, King lost. There's no reason for him to leave invincibility state. I agree, actually. There was legitimately no reason. Zoro even has his own dialogue in his mind where he's like, he's even in King of Hell. Let me see if I have that panel. Do I have it? He has a line of dialogue where he's like, he's in flame mode. No reason to attack now. It's right here. Look at this. Look at this. This is King of Hell Zoro, bro. While he's fighting King, he says the flames are on. No point attacking now. This is while he's in King of Hell. So like this is showing you he would have straight up lost. Like these two panels together actually show you Zoro would have lost if like King had just not turned his flame mode off. There was no matter of fact, Zoro literally tells King, I can't use this form for long. If this drags on, the swords will kill him. He straight up says that to King, and King turns the flame modes off anyway. I do consider it a plot loss. It 100% is kind of plot. I'm not even going to lie to you guys. So, I don't know. I don't really... I don't fully understand why people like put Zoro at like such a higher tier than what he's shown himself to be. I don't fully understand that, but I had a fun time debating though. What's the next stream going to be about? Bro, I wanted to play Sparking Zero again. I literally hate that game. If I'm being honest, I hate that game. It's just an actual piece of trash. But I heard that they balanced the game now. They actually balanced it, so I want to see what it's like. Rob, you said genuine dumbest fighter we've seen for a long time. Yeah, I mean, Zoro literally word for word tells him, he's like, hey, King, you're about to win right now, bro. Don't turn your flames off, all right? And you will win. King's like, you know what? I'm going to turn my flames off. Like, yeah, it makes no sense. But, like, this same King just gets literally slammed by Green Bull immediately. But, yeah, I missed most of the chat because I was just trying to focus on what he was saying and, like, listen to his points. What did you guys think of the debates today? Did you enjoy them? Did you think they were good? Mac333, you said, let's play Sparking tonight. Bro, when I tell you I literally hate that game, I really mean I literally hate it. I went from loving it to actually hating it, but I was watching Dado Doya play it today, and I was like, oh, it's actually balanced. So I want to just see what that's like. I'm probably going to dislike it, but I'll try it. Rocket, you said, how many times did Luffy lose versus Kaido? That's plot armor. Kind of, but I don't know. I don't really view it as plot armor. Like, he literally died in the fight. And then I think there's just some, like, hidden lore about Gear 5 that we don't fully understand. Like, why did Gear 5 awaken after Luffy died? There's something very interesting about that. Yeah, this might be the last Zoro debate for a while. I think I'll change the title in the morning to like how strong is Zoro. I just didn't make a thumbnail to match that, so I just used this title. I hope people don't get too mad at the title, but I'll change the title in the morning probably. So yeah, for anyone who's watching this later, the title says "Is Zoro Overhyped?" but I'm gonna change it to "How Strong is Zoro?" debate. But bro, I'm going to do another video tomorrow too. Probably the Has Gone Lost His Nen video. I just got to upload as much as I can, bro. Anyways, that was it for this chat, for this one. I want to go back and read these stream chat. The annoying thing about doing live streams, bro, is like after I post the live stream, I can't go back and read the live chat for like 14 hours. So like, I missed so many chats. And I'm going to go back and read them. But I have to wait until, like, basically tomorrow night before I can actually read what you guys were saying in the live stream. So it'll be interesting to read that. Because I'm sure you guys were having your own debates in here, too. You said the strongest part of the debate was that back and forth with the last caller. Yeah, he you could tell he's, like, put time into, like, his thoughts. Like, time into his points. But yeah, that was fun. That was fun. All right, I'm gonna go on and do the next stream here. Thank you everybody for tuning in. Oh wait, Daryl, that was you. Oh yeah, I remember you. I remember you were saying you wanted to debate before. Yeah, you did a good job in the debate, man. You had a lot of points. Tyshawn, you said, can you do a Kangen power scaling stream? Bro, I'll be honest, I'm not really liking Kangen that much. I need to like give it more time. I'm gonna do a Toriko stream either tomorrow or Thursday though. But alright guys, that's everything for this stream. I'm going to try Sparking Zero and see if I absolutely hate it still or not. So thank you everybody for tuning in. Thank you guys for joining the debate and contributing to it. Thank you guys for watching. And I'll